Hello to everyone who stumbles across this video. My name is Donna VS R. Should you like to read what Amazon has to say about my 3 memoir, The Littlest Big Kid, The Jitterbug Girl, and Head Over Heels. I had an 81st birthday party recently, and my friends were talking about my memoirs. They said, "Why don't you videotape bits and pieces from each book?" And I thought, yeah, that sounds like fun. And then Patty Gassaway said, "And also for posterity." And I thought, yeah, for posterity. And when she offered to help do the filming, I was tickled pink. So here goes, bits and pieces, very condensed and revised, from my first book, The Littlest Big Kid. It's December 8th, 1940, a long time ago. Our old-fashioned house is so rickety that Mama says we need to move. But I like it here because it's spick and span clean. It's warm and cozy, and it smells like spices from the big old pantry that I can't go into by myself because I made a big mess playing in the flower bin. I love how our old-fashioned house smells, but not when someone forgets to close the basement door. Then our house stinks like bleach from the diaper pail that sits on the top of the step going down. The reason I remember the day Mama came home from the hospital with our new baby, Patsy, is because it's the same day I became a big kid. At first, I tried to convince Mama that our new baby Patsy could use Bonnie's crib, not mine. Mama said, "Bonnie is only 1 year old, and that's too young. You're already 3. And that's just the right age to become a big kid and sleep upstairs where your big sister Joanne and your big brother Jimmy sleep." So, Mama and I went up the steep, scary steps to push my side of Joanne's bed against the wall. Mama said this would make my new bed feel just like when I'm in my crib with a railing. But it doesn't. And it's not my crib anymore. When Mama saw my lip quivering like I might cry, she said, "It's okay. You'll do just fine because you're a big kid now." But I don't like being a big kid, I told Mama, because I for sure don't like going potty in the spider-webby, stinky-pooey outhouse that's dark with no light to turn on. And the seat is way up high and it circles around a great big hall that I could fall into. It's so down deep that I could never, ever climb out. Not in a million years. "Well, we'll see," Mama said. "Since you're the littlest big kid, you can use the potty chair in the kitchen until we move into our brand new house with an indoor toilet that flushes." This is when I knew that being the littlest big kid was the best of all, because I could choose when I didn't want to be a big kid. When I first started writing The Littlest Big Kid, I wrote from my adult perspective, reflecting back to those years. Then something magical happened. The little girl within me, the one that I was remembering, started telling my stories for me. And because her version was so much more entertaining and so much more honest, I surrendered to her influence, and it was so much fun. This next piece is dated December 6th, 1940. I'm already 4 years old. Jimmy is 8, and because we helped Mama all day and then listened carefully to Daddy's hundreds of warnings, he decided that we were old enough to spend the whole night in our brand new fangled house. Just Jimmy and me, alone by ourselves, all through the night. because the rest of the family and all of our stuff will get moved in tomorrow. It's an adventure. So, after supper, and when it was already pitch dark, we loaded our sled with many things that we'll need. My dolly, Jimmy's walkie-talkie, a flashlight, and a huge sack of popcorn, plus our big old Grandma Schwister quilts. Then we pulled the sled across the street and up a ways to our brand newfangled house. First, we spread the quilts in the living room where we'd sleep. Then, we tore lickety-split through every room of the house, and we tested all of the latest and greatest gadgets that our old-fashioned house doesn't have. A toilet that flushes when you push on the handle, a bathtub that drains when you pull up the stopper, and a stove that doesn't need wood, and a refrigerator that doesn't need ice. Jimmy says they're electric. Our house is very newfangled, and Jimmy kept telling me how lucky we were and how I wasn't supposed to tell anyone about how we played with all the gadgets that Daddy said we weren't supposed to touch. His biggest warning of all was, absolutely do not go into that basement furnace room. It's dangerous. That furnace room is dangerous. So no matter what, do not go into the furnace room. But there we were in the furnace room when Jimmy said, Daddy didn't figure it'd get so cold tonight when he stoked the furnace. I'm going to have to shovel some more coal in. But he said not to, I said to Jimmy as he opened the furnace door. It was flaming hot, and Jimmy was being naughty when he started shoveling a whole lot of extra coal into the furnace. I was naughty too, because I held the door open. And then I picked up a few pieces of coal when they fell off Jimmy's shovel. I got to throw those into the flaming hot furnace all by myself. My hands got a little dirty, and then I saw smudges of coal on the perfectly clean walls of our brand new living room that's extra fancy for company. If Mama sees this, she'll get really cranky, I told Jimmy. Just don't say the dirt is from coal, promise? He said. Jimmy knows how to keep the peace. So, after turning somersaults and doing cartwheels in the wide open spaces of our new house, we collapsed onto our quilts because it was way past our bedtime. We felt blessed as we laid there, blessed for being from our family, and for God giving us our brand newfangled, up-to-date house to live in. I finally fell asleep to Jimmy's story about how Daddy paid a lot of money to own this house, $6,000 and some dollars. I can't even imagine that much. Jimmy says he can, because Daddy wrote it out for him. And Daddy told him that from now on, we could live in our new house free, without paying rent, like at our old-fashioned house. A free newfangled house is a really good thing, because now Mama and Daddy won't have to fight about money anymore in the middle of the night when they think we're all sleeping. Oh, but then the next day, a terrible, ugly thing happened. It was so terrible and so ugly that my uncles and aunts who came from Shiocton to help us move didn't even tell jokes the way they usually do. They talked about how my uncles, and maybe even my very own Daddy, will probably have to go to war because the Japanese has just bombed Pearl Harbor. I don't know who the Japanese are because they aren't from Black Creek. And I don't know where Pearl Harbor is because it's not near us like how Shiocton is. At least I don't think it is. There are many stories about how kids helped Uncle Sam win the war in The Littlest Big Kid. And there's one about how Daddy had to sleep at Grandma Schwister's house while the rest of us were quarantined with scarlet fever for 6 whole days. 6 whole weeks of scarlet fever, and how our baby sister Marie was born in the midst of it. Can you even imagine a newborn baby and 5 other sick children under the age of 9? Our mother had her hands full. But then, after a few more years and many more adventures, times got better, and the littlest big kid turned 12. She's going into the 7th grade, and she wants to know the truth about a whole lot of big questions. The big event of this summer is that Mama is going to have another baby right before school starts, which is any days now. So lately, I've been wondering about a lot of things that no one wants to talk about. Like, how do babies happen? Mama says it's all up to God. But my friend who's already in high school says that's just not how it works. She even told me how it works, but I don't believe her. It's just too weird. Warnie Fassbender, by the way, has a crush on me. I know this because while waiting in line to ride the Ferris wheel at the Black Creek Homecoming, he started pulling on the neckline of my Peter Pan blouse. I think it was to see if I was wearing a bra yet. And what I have to say about that is that it's none of his business that I don't even have bumps yet. When I chased after him to get even, I fell into a slippery mud puddle, and the elbow of Joanne's pink cardigan that she's forbidden me to wear has a big stain on it. Joanne is going to have a canary, but I figure that we're even now, since she wore my crinoline just last week, without asking. I hope The Littlest Big Kid has inspired you to write your stories. It's one of the best things I've ever done for myself. And by the way, our newborn baby was named Terry Joe. Finally, another boy. One at the top, one at the bottom, 7 in all between the years 1933 and 1937. I'm so extremely grateful for my ordinary yet phenomenal childhood. How lucky I was to be born to parents with a great capacity to love, and to have 6 siblings still living wholesome and happy lives like mine. Thanks to the jillions of little lessons we learned while growing up. Stay tuned for my next YouTube videos, The Jitterbug Girl and Head Over Heels. Thanks for listening.